Dr. Kalia, a neurocritical care. And again, thank you so much for joining us at Signals and Symptom Podcast. Since we're not going to have an episode next Wednesday, we wanted to sort of throw a holiday party and just bring us our old guests and figure out some new guests that we're going to show up in the future. Harvey is going to take the lead, picking up some people. Make sure your introductions are small. Make sure that you are looking at what exact application of AI you're working on. So the whole point of this conversations are to first of all bulk it up, ensure that everyone understand what they're working on, so that they can collaborate. Number one, uh, everything, including AI models to non-AI models to education programs, whatever that case may be. That's number one, introduction. What are you working on? And number two, the last one, what is the most important AI prediction for 2026? One liners. So, Harvey, start it up.
All right. I made this from the moonshot. So for you guys that watched the moonshot, what I did is I took their moonshots from last night and then I gave it a quick spin to healthcare. So I'll share this in the notes. Obviously, everybody can have it, and we don't. I won't go through all of them, but just the skinny, just to look at it. The moonshot's talking about how can we create using Blue Origin, go into space and leverage that technology. And thinking it through, I do see us moving forward with pharmacology, creating microspheres and creating those microspheres in space, and that technology will change healthcare. And how does it change? The skinnies, we will have small little devices implanted, and it'll be our month supply of medication. Think of your GLP-1s. The other one that was interesting is as these frontier models are getting tighter and tighter and tighter and smaller, we'll be able to convert them and put them in the ICU, put them in machines where we don't need the internet, we don't need access, and it's going to be running on the edge. I know that Save AI is doing edge technology. Another one that came that I liked on the list. I really think med school. I know people will hate for me saying that, but I don't think some of us need 4 years. There might be some people out there that need 5 years. But with that said, AI may need to be leveraged to the point where maybe we only need 3 years to become a physician. And then the last one that I want to just quickly talk about, I do believe that the robot added with the edge technology will help us. And how can it help us? I look at the elderly, for example, and say, you know what? Having a robot that can help grandpa or grandma with her medication, his or meds. More importantly, to do predictive analytics as the robot is just listening to those patients at home, saying, you know what, I'm catching a rise in your heart rate. This morning, your blood pressure is up. I'm just hearing that and seeing that, and I think we need to consult a doctor. So those were just a little bit of a couple of things that I thought were fun. And then later, I'll talk about one of the articles from the New York Times, and I have a nice picture here. But with that, I'm going to stop this and Ed and everybody else's thoughts. And let me just stop the thing.
Actually, yeah. So Jim Pollock, good friend of mine, working on. So Jim, one line introduction. What are you working on? What is your maximum prediction that you're going to see applied AI in healthcare?
So, yeah, Jim Pollock. I'm out in Boulder, Colorado. And so we're working on a startup. It's a spin out from the University of Colorado. And we are developing a small sensor that's non-invasive that can be placed anywhere on their body, and it measures internal body temperature. So for example, our first target is putting it on the forehead, anywhere in the forehead, and measuring brain temperature in real time, non-invasively. And so a lot of applications and surgical applications, anytime there's any kind of hypothermia involved, like aortic arch surgery, for example. Also in ICUs for maintaining brain temperature at normothermia after cardiac arrest, strokes, and TBIs. Military is very interested in early warning of heat stress. They have thousands of casualties a year. Then it also translates right over to athletes and to first responders like firemen.
One prediction for 2026, applied AI in healthcare.
Well, I'm very excited about AI in healthcare in general, and there's really two directions. We can talk about that a little bit later on here, as far as implementing as part of a product, and then also as a tool. And I think the things, Janae, that you're actually working on are the ones most exciting to me, where you're looking at very complex imagery that and looking for a lot of nuance, and to be able to use that AI to be able to scale the ability to analyze very complex imagery out of patients and all, to really step up the whole pace and or overall cut down costs of healthcare tremendously, I think.
Love it, Jim. Deepu, your turn.
Thanks, Sinead. Jim, I'm going to echo what you have just said, but just by way of intro, the things that I'm working on are educating the educators and educating that next generation of clinicians to be much, much more savvy with AI so that they're ready in the workforce to apply and implement. My big prediction for 2026 in healthcare is that we're going to have a fundamental shift from asking, can AI help, to where can it help? And it will become the infrastructure and embedded into day-to-day healthcare operations. Right now, we're using AI as an add-on. I think it's going to become much, much more embedded in the work that we do on a daily basis.
I agree 100%. Thank you. We're going to go ahead next with my favorite and my mentor, my teacher, Arlen Myers. And I'm going to pull this up so that he can talk about this.
Hi, Jim. I'm in Denver. I'm an emeritus at Anschutz, so we should connect. I sent you a link. So I'm going to be a little contrarian. Surprise, surprise. I think that as long as we are doing things the way we're doing them, that shiny new objects like artificial intelligence will not reduce the cost of care to the patient. My concern is that we're focused on the wrong thing and we're asking the wrong question. And that is, how do we reduce the aggregate and individual cost of care to the patient? I have no evidence that artificial intelligence, to the contrary, is probably raising it, not lowering it. So my concern, bottom line, how does artificial intelligence achieve the sextuple aim?
I totally agree that, again, one of the core objectives of this is to bring it back to the patient and not just the physician or the CEO and the CFO or founders like me who wants to become big in acquisitions by Google and Apple. But you're right. We need to bring it back to the patient. Next is my good friend, Kinor Dr. Shah. By the way, can you talk about your Global Summits Institute as well?
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction. We have many of us have Arlen as a mentor, and thank you for being here. My name is Dr. Kianor Shah. I'm the founder of the Global Summits Institute, as well as the Doctor to Doctor movement. I believe that in 2026, we are going to see a tremendous amount of improvement in various aspects of AI. I think standards are going to become a big issue. On the patient side, Dr. Myers addressed what we need to see. On the doctor's side, we believe that, for thousands of years was a patient-doctor relationship with tools that we had to treat patients. And I think AI is sort of God's gift at this point to equalize the playing field. And we can do a lot of things that these third parties have done with us in the last 5 decades by utilizing AI properly for the sole benefit of doctors and patients. I'm currently personally working on humanoid avatar and holographic avatars that have integrability with management softwares across the healthcare industry to allow our staff to focus more on the patient experience versus, the cumbersome tasks that we normally do. And the prediction is that the AI integration issue between various platforms will remain a major, major problem, and there'll be solutions, hopefully, for OpenAI to be able to readily integrate between different platforms. Lastly, we are in the business of bringing medical doctors and dental doctors together to bridge the gap that's been needed much, and we intend to do that in London at the 2026 Global Medical Dental AI Summit. It's very prudent for the overall health of patients that these two particular subspecialties of healthcare collaborate closely. Thank you so much, Dr. Junaid.
Dr. Shah, I'm going to introduce you to two dentist friends of mine here in Dallas. One of them is working on an dental implant that is a startup founder that detects obstructive sleep apnea. And then I don't know if you can tell us. And the other friend is actually working on one of the. By the way, Harvey, I don't know if you know this. Dental imaging is becoming a very good commercialization pathway. FYI, I can give you some stats and everything. So, and then of course, really excited. I think I will be. Harvey, you're coming to London too.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll
You
share
know,
with
one
you.
thing I wanted to add, guys, we are the ones that are seeing these patients twice a year. We're taking in their medical information. You guys often see them on a pain or a problem focused scenario. If there was a collaboration between the medical doctors and dentists, predictive analysis would become very important, and we can send patients to the medical crowd to do preventative care a lot more readily. So this integration in London is going to be very prudent for the overall human health.
Totally agree. Harvey, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it's a community, right? Just like it's a village to do the AI, it takes all of us, and then we need to rely on everyone because if the patient's not seeing let's say a medical doctor and they're only going to see the dentist, then we need that information, and the dentist can help us with other parts to the equation. So it's that community effect. In the interest of time, I want to make sure we catch everybody on the screen because I see Tim Baharan's here, I see Christopher. Christopher, I saw you earlier, so if you want to introduce yourself, keep it short somewhat so we can get through everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christopher Cunny. I serve as a managing partner for IoTech Consulting. We're a healthcare technology advisory and solutions firm. I have known Harvey for quite some time here, and a couple projects that I'm focused on right now. One is dealing with a pediatric clinical decision support platform that is integrated with the major EHRs. Most of you may or may not be aware that most EDs and most urgent care facilities do not have a pediatric trained physician generally on staff. And the adult doctors are actually trying to treat children.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm sure. Do you want to give us a prediction for next year, my friend? What do you see coming, Chris? If not, I think we lost you. I'm not sure. If not, in the interest of time, Dan, I see you're on and your camera's on. Do you want to give us a quick intro about what you do and your AI space, and then a prediction for next year for AI?
For everyone, Dan Sinawat is a mover and shaker here in Dallas. FYI, go ahead.
It's a big deal.
and
So good.
and I'm just like, I always mistake the time. Sorry, I thought it's 12:30. I'm like, wow, everybody's already like active here. Dan Sinawat here. I'm a founder and CEO of AI Connect and VC Arena. I have two companies. AI Connect, we're a global consulting firm. We think AI is 95% business and 5% technology. That's kind of our principle, right? And then from VC Arena standpoint, we're a community of founder, investor, family offices backed by a $3 billion fund called Legendary Ventures. And I'm just here to support, Harvey and Gennard, and get to know everybody.
Awesome. And what's your prediction, man? What should I do next year for AI? What do you see coming?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, as you can see, most of the AI project isn't failing, right? Like I think MIT, announced the report 95% of AI project failed, and it's because they've been approaching things from technology standpoint. So what I see, people like you, Harvey, Gennard, who's been like really, really, in the industry, really understand the vertical of healthcare. We will shine even more, right? Like I think it's the year for us to prove what AI can deliver for business. No more technology.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'd love for Tim to introduce himself. He's a great friend of mine, a mentor to me, and just honored that he's here. So, Tim, tell us about you, and then please tell us your prediction.
Hi, I'm Tim Beharan. I'm founder of Creative Strategies, one of the high-tech consultancies in Silicon Valley. I'm not on the medical side. What I am looking at and consulting on is fundamentally the impact of AI on business processes. And one of the things that I'm seeing in enterprises across the board is there's a real big question about integrating artificial intelligence around all processes. But what we are seeing is that AI is becoming more verticalized. That means that they're using it for customer service, for sales, for certain parts of automation. And it's somewhat in its early stages, even with the big companies. But I think that in 2026, that's one of the things that you're going to see, and this includes the medical clinics and the medical operations. I think you're going to see a faster integration or a movement of applying artificial intelligence to the business processes. And I can't tell you how important that probably is in the next year, because it's going to be a competitive advantage in the sense of how you manage the back end, how you reach out to patients, how you handle their care, etc. And you can use artificial intelligence in so many ways to streamline the process and to make the experience of interacting with the customer, or in this case, the patient, much more effective and efficient.
Thank you.
I cannot agree more, Tim. I'm sorry, Harvey, I'm going to take a second. So I apologize. But this is really what exactly Save Life AI is doing. We have all these horizontal solutions which are revenue generating, but we are converting them into vertical solutions where clinical operations, radiological operations, and data operations converge into one. And then, of course, one of my predictions is that we're going to move from reactive AI to proactive AI, which our solutions already provide. And of course, we're building a common front end and a common back end so the data operations remain live. And with minimal effort, you can change it from acute stroke to personal injury for motor vehicle accident, while you have AI image findings, clinical documentation, everything. Tim, you are spot on as far as predictions are concerned. Love it. Harvey, can I ask Mohammed Jazed to take up next, because he has done some real good work recently in breast imaging.
You're on mute.
You are mute.
I'm new to this platform, but I understand the icon. Thank you. So doctors are dumb, as you know, in technology, and I'm one of those. So I'm Mohammed Jahanzeb. I'm a breast and lung medical oncologist for about 32 years, and now pivoted to AI and decision making. And recently I've attended San Antonio Breast Cancer Conference, which is world's largest breast cancer meeting in the known universe, as the organizers like to call it. And there's a panel that discusses complex cases that anyone can present from the floor. And this year I was on that panel on Wednesday and Thursday with our AI called Preciska AI. And while the AI was thinking, while taking the audio feed from the floor, all these experts from Harvard to Northwestern to Sloan Kettering type places gave their opinion and then looked to me, and I projected the result of the AI. Within 3 minutes of thinking, AI was able to come up with same or better opinions. And the Harvard professor who was moderating, Hal Burstein, a friend of mine, he first case, he said, I would give it an A-. And at the next case, he said, this is making me nervous. This may take our jobs. So to talk about the future, I think radiology, pathology are low-hanging fruit. That's obviously where AI is going to be way better than humans. It already is. And human is still in the loop, of course, and will remain in the loop in many cases. But in cognitive specialties such as oncology, I think we are the next, where all we do is sit behind a desk and think and talk, and AI can do a better job. And my colleagues who don't agree, I tell them, it's GPS right now, and you can choose to use GPS or not use GPS, but there will be a day when GPS takes over, and that's not a fantasy. That's called Waymo. That's real. That's right here.
Oh man, you touched
I
that touchy
appreciate it.
subject. We're gonna share something, but my 10-year-old asked me like, "Baba, why do you work all the time?" I told him because I don't think so. You're gonna have a job, dear. So
I thought you said because you like nice things. That's why I work.
no, I'm serious. This is now an existential sort of crisis, in my opinion, a little bit. But anyways, Harvey, keep going, buddy.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I'm on the editing board for a new journal that came out last year, actually in April 24. It's called AI and Precision Oncology. So I'm not sure if you know it, but if you
Yes, I
have
do.
any information, I'd love for to feature you on some of these articles because it's
Yeah, no, my
it's about
friend Doug Flora started it,
yes,
and I would
he's
love
my
to be on it.
friend.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
been following
exactly.
you for years to be part of the board. So yeah,
Yes.
it's awesome.
Tell him I need to be on the board. I won't say that to him myself.
Okay, I won't tell him. You said that. And he probably is watching this right now, so I'll tell him not to listen.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, awesome. Who else is on the line that would like to introduce themselves? If not, we'll jump in.
Oh, just get your talking.
Oh,
I'm on the line. Can I say
awesome.
something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hansa is here.
Hi guys, I'm sorry I'm running around, so I just wanted to drop in at least for a few minutes. Great conversation here. Harvey, Junaid, so good to see you. So I'm Hansa Bhargava. I'm a pediatrician by training, but I've been in the digital media industry for a while, and I'm actually Chief Clinical Strategy and Innovation Officer at Helio. And we just built a Gen AI tool called Helio AI, so that's been really exciting. I also advise some AI companies as well. So I would not be so confident to be able to predict the future, but I can tell you what my hope is. And what I think the challenges are. And I think the two hopes are what somebody alluded to before, and that is to honestly have more, have doctors at the table more. Because, like that doctor who is in the ER and alluded to not having a pediatric ER doctor, that's a real problem. In community hospitals in rural areas, like I've seen it myself, where, they don't get the best care because they just don't, that's not their area of interest. So, how does that relate back to AI? AI can democratize care. So Gen AI tools can have policies and guidelines, which, that doctor, that ER doctor who might have a 4-year-old wants fever guidelines for a 4-month-old or a 6-month-old, and they can get access to that. So I think that's one way. My hope is that AI will continue that, but we have to have doctors at the table to develop these tools, right? And I think the second part is just implementation of these tools. Like I think we need to have the we, not the I. So a lot of collaboration is super important to get these implemented. You can have the best product in the world, it doesn't really matter. You got to get it out there to scale it. So that makes sense. And so you got to get the right players in the room and the collaboration. And I really do believe in having different perspectives at the table. And the concern I have, I will put that out there. And somebody alluded, I think Junaid, you talked to about your 10-year-old. Yeah, like I have kids too. I want them to have jobs. But the thing is, that's less of a concern. I think the long-term concern maybe. But the short-term concern is, is there going to be human intelligence degradation? Because we're going to be too dependent on these tools. So that's my question and honestly my concern. Like, I don't this is like a mega, the analogy is simple, obviously, but like when calculators came out, did people lose their math skills? I mean, when, automated driving comes out, do people lose their driving skills? When people are looking at ChatGPT all the time for answers, do they lose the ability to critically think? So that's what I am more concerned about my kids and the younger generations, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Harvey, this
Harvey,
is
can I
Christopher. I
jump
just
in
want to
on
let you know I
that?
was back. I apologize. I had a
Oh, I think Deepu wants to weigh in. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Hi.
Deepu, then Christopher. Go ahead, Deepu.
Thanks. Hansa, I actually share a little bit of your fear around the kids with the calculators, but I literally just gave this talk earlier this week at Cornell around how we need to reshape and rethink how we educate the future generation. As we all know here, education is going to become really personalized in the future. And I used the calculator example when I was giving my talk. And actually what happened after we all collectively as a culture stopped freaking out about how calculators were going to make our kids dumber and not actually think critically and solve problems, what ended up happening was curriculum shifted. So concepts that were taught in 8th, 9th, 10th grade shifted to 4th, 5th, 6th grade because it allowed room to make the connections faster for the students. So it actually elevated our curriculum at the elementary level, and I think that's what AI is going to do for us. Now, the wild card here is that a lot of the technologies we've had up until now, including the internet, is very passive. It's one way, right? You put in the thing, it doesn't really talk back, it just surfaces the information. AI is a little bit different. And so I think our approach in the future is going to have to be a little bit different. We are looking at personalized education in every field, including healthcare and medicine.
Thank you. Chris?
I love that. That's a great point.
It is.
Hey guys, this is Tom Meese. Just want a quick introduction. I work with Jim Pollock at Lumen Astra, and guys trained in Stanford biodesign. Basically, you're going and observing what's happening because doctors are amazing at making the best of whatever information they have. So for Lumen Astra, that was, hey, they're trying to control brain temperature, but they're doing wherever they can with coming from the bladder, wherever you go. And whenever I think about predictions for AI next year, one of the things that we see, people are going to chatbots to get basic healthcare information, right? So instead of going to the doctor, a lot of people are going to ChatGPT, entering in wherever it is. So that's something that we see. Like people mentioned, rising cost of healthcare. We're seeing that especially this coming year, there's going to be a big bump. So I think we're going to see more people going to those chatbots to get that healthcare information, just looking at where people are going. So I think there'll be opportunities there, but the more access that primary care physicians and others have to these kind of searches and what's going on, and just looking at why people are going there, they're feeling heard by ChatGPT. It's kind of telling them, it's giving them positive feedback. So a lot of interesting things that we can see just by looking at how people are engaging with the tools that they have for AI, and kind of where there might be gaps in the healthcare system and how we can figure that stuff out.
Chris, drop your LinkedIn information. People may be interested in acquiring your services. And then, of course, what is your main prediction for 2026? You missed us. You missed that.
Sure. I'm sorry. Again, technology gremlins. I want to quickly respond regarding pediatric care. One of the projects we're working on right now is we just launched a pediatric clinical decision support platform for urgent care and for EDs. Most of you may realize that most, again, urgent cares and most EDs generally do not have a pediatric trained physician on staff unless you're a children's hospital. And so you've got adult doctors that are trying to treat kids, in many cases are misdiagnosing them. And so we've built a platform that's integrated with Epic and Cerner and some of the major EHRs that will allow them to enter in the symptoms and of that individual, and based on clinical standards, be able to provide recommendations to those clinicians on the best treatments for pediatric care. I did want to talk a little bit about prediction. As the last baby boomers turned 60 last year, the first Gen Xers turned 60 this year. We are in the midst of what's called a silver tsunami. By 2030, there'll be more people over 60 than under 5. We have a youth crisis, and by 2050, 2 billion people around the world will be over 60. And so you will see the rise of what they call age tech, silver tech, granny tech, and that is technologies that are going to be geared towards treating people as they age. I think Harvey or someone mentioned things like CareBots, monitoring technologies, AI platforms that will help individuals age in place and help the sandwich generation, those who have young kids and older parents, more effectively manage their parents as they age as well too. And then the last prediction I have is that I think in the next 5 years, you're going to actually see a digital doctor, and that is an AI-driven platform that will be able to provide some basic primary care to patients, because we are going to have a significant shortage of primary care physicians around the world. And so these technologies are going to be put in place to augment that gap.
Awesome. Thank you. Dr. Avi, I see you on the screen. You would like to introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah, Harvey, thanks for inviting me. Always great to be in your coattails. So great to meet all of you. I mean, to hear those that presented themselves. I'm based in New York. I'm Dr. Avinash Jaiswal. I, of course, I'm also using AI, but in a manner where I'm part of a company that is partnering with doctors to do their chronic care and also with hospitals. So we are, let's say, your solutions provider for Medicare, Medicaid population to kind of close care gaps preventively so that patients don't end up getting hospitalized at the ER where things are much worse. On the behavioral health side too, we have a product and focusing on New York, but also elsewhere. We have clients in Texas and California. So great conversation. I think the baby boomer aging is a huge tsunami coming, and longevity medicine is not helping, right? Because in a way where there's now a clear scientific basis to people, us all being able to add years to our life expectancy by doing things right, and with compounded with the fact that kids are not coming into the fold as much as the previous generations. So that's going to be a very unique situation. Maybe AI will help compound some of that problem, but also help solve some of that problem. So I think we are definitely in an existential, as physicians, existential situation where I think we have to step back and kind of accept that when we were trained, all of us here was trained, graduated maybe 5 years already. So when we were trained, we were never given these ideas to kind of rethink who we were meant to be. But this whole notion of being a physician is completely going to be upside down. I mean, the technology is already there. The bots are very powerful and is able to churn information like our brains is not wired to do. What we have is for sure empathy, but even in that area, we're getting caught up on by the technology. So what we can do is, I think, in a manner, is always focus on the problems. There's a lot of problems to be solved in society. Very low-hanging fruits in this country, where a lot of money is spent. Outcomes are terrible. Number 16 life expectancy. I think if AI can actually bring that 10 rankings above where it is, and it's not getting any better because now, low-cost care, longevity medicine, all this is very democratized across the world. So people are living longer.
Love all the information. Dr. Avi, you were straight point on. Perfect. I think we have one guest that has not introduced ourselves. Amir, you want to say a few things? Is a friend of mine. And then before we actually get Amir, I just want to reintroduce our permanent expert, which is Ed Marks. Ed Marks is the ex-CIO of Cleveland Clinic. He sits on many boards and many other places. And why is the reason that me as a physician need him? It's very important as a founder. It's because he can cut through the crap and make us translate how CIOs, CEOs, and CFOs of hospital systems think, even how to approach them. He coached me how to approach them properly. So one of the things that you need to understand as a builder, founder, physician is that we are so focused on what Dan suggested, that horizontal layer and vertical layers and everything, but solutions need to be integrated in a flow, because I know that I've built AI solutions that actually increase overall cost and decrease overall efficiency. And the idea is that how to communicate properly in terms of both language of a CFO, language of a CEO, and language of a CIO. So Ed, I know everyone knows you, but I want you to reintroduce yourself so that I know, because we and Harvey send out the invitations. It's a physician heavy thing. I apologize for that.
I was just trying to hide out a little bit. I was really enjoying what you were saying. I thought it was like, you said something about eggnog and cookies, so I dressed up and, but yeah, you're very kind and gracious, for sure. My prediction is that by the end of 2026, that there'll be no use for the mute button. And so you'll never have to say, hey, I think you're on mute again. So that's one
Oh
prediction.
my God, I would love that so
Yeah.
much. I would love that.
If we can't figure that out, then how are we going to figure out these other complex things? I think so. I'm a very positive person, but I'll give you my prediction for 2026, which is not quite as positive. But I will say, because I'm 100% sure of this, what I'm about to say, is that bureaucracy within healthcare systems will continue to impede the potential of AI, and will be frustrated this time at the end of the year as well, because we're just not set up. The governance is not set up to deal with something as agile and rapidly changing and mind-blowing and transformative as AI. We're set up for old school. What was it, 15 years bench to bedside? I know it's about half that now. We're just so old school, we cannot process this. I've met with a lot of different boards this past couple of months, and I love all these people. I will not call them out because it's similar with everyone. They just have committee after committee after committee, concern after concern after concern. Many concerns are valid, of course, but we get so defensive that we will impede progress. So the good news is after 2026, the the consumers will be so demanding for change that hospitals will either have to adapt quickly, or more likely, and it's something that Christopher alluded to, you will see a quick rise of, I call it concierge AI, but you will see people go to new platforms for healthcare that are not a traditional hospital. That's my prediction for 2026.
Love it.
Amir Baloch is the only one left, and then Harvey, it is your game completely.
All right.
How's it going, guys? Amir Baloch. I'm an advisor for a few healthcare startups in the VC space, and we also have we used to have a fund that was open. It's actually closed right now, but we do some investing in private equity with healthcare startups and early stage companies. And I'm seeing AI everywhere. People are investing in ideas that don't even make sense. But what some people are alluding to, how are you solving problems, and how can you prove that it's actually going to turn into dollars? So, for example, if there's a billing company that can make things more efficiently, or if you're getting pre-authorizations faster and reducing staff, that turns into dollars, and now you have a business model that makes sense. And it's going to affect everything. That's kind of like the internet. How is the internet going to make people money? Well, just kind of to roll with it and solve problems where you can. But this is different because I feel like intelligence is going to be a commodity. What's going to happen when we have artificial super intelligence that will make better decisions than the president, and we decide, hey, do we need to drop a bomb on this country or not? And AI says no, but we are thinking yes. Who are we going to go with, right? We're probably going to go with the AI at that point in time. So, yeah, I think it's going to go so fast that the people that are trying to protect the world are not going to move fast enough. It's going to be very weird. We're not going to be able to set up guardrails fast enough, I don't think. So I think a lot of people are going to lose some jobs. Actually, I'm not trying to be a pessimistic person, but we're going to eventually have some universal basic income for people that are just not keeping up and not adopting AI. And there are going to be people that own the AI that are making all the money, and we're going to be losing out on the middle class. I think that's what's going to happen. From conferences I've been to and people I've spoken to, it looks like this is already on the way there. So that's how I think AI is going to affect kind of the nation. How it affects medicine, I think it's going to be interesting how it's going to help make drugs and analyze different, molecule combinations. I think that it's going to speed up that process a lot. Everything with communication is going to be affected. I heard somewhere that over 90% of medicine can be done with telemedicine. Well, what if you just put up kiosks on every block and,
No, Ed is working on a new AI concierge virtual care company. Is going to be $1 billion company soon. So
yeah. So I see things like that. I see things like that going on very quickly. We're really going to cut out the fluff in healthcare, and I think there's going to be few winners, and the money is not going to be spread, and the wealth not going to be spread evenly. So I'm not trying to be pessimistic or anything. from what I'm gathering, going to all the conferences and talking to people and seeing what companies are making, which ones are not, this looks like what's going to happen. So, but that's another reason I'm here. I got to talk to all you guys. What are you guys seeing? So,
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, good seeing you, Amir. We'll definitely have to catch up.
yeah.
Thank you so much. And yeah, that's gonna be another podcast. So we'll talk about that. I know.
Correct. Now, quick connections. Deepu, we're going to bring you in for another episode on AI and medical education. Tim, for sure. And then, Amr, you need to connect with Dan Sinawat, who is actually in the situation, and Kinar, so that you probably can come to London and view how dental medical AI is going to be processing together. Just before Harvey goes, because it's very important what he's going to discuss, we just want to make sure that the whole point of the signals and symptoms is to follow us. We are bringing each and every vertical, not horizontal, players introducing all these solutions, even if they're competing with mine. And then, of course, Ed and Harvey, as they have helped me generously, are going to help everyone. And the idea is to ensure ethical, legal, proactive, horizontal, vertical solutions to come to market in a way that we can all profit, hopefully, as either users, end users, investors, etc. I didn't miss anyone in the chat, did I? I don't think so.
Before Dan goes, I know Tim had his hand up earlier and he wanted to talk about his thoughts on the education follow up from Deepu. So if you can do that, and everyone else
Tim
that's
and
not
Dan.
talking, if you can mute yourself so we don't hear you. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something on the conversation that Deepa had. We've been talking to a lot of educators when it comes to the role of AI, and they're actually thinking more in the context of a positive impact on education in two contexts. One is that if you actually have started to use ChatGPT for studying for a lesson, you actually learn about the topic better, faster, and potentially deeper. But the other thing that is very important, and we're in the enterprise side are pushing heavy to the educators, is you're not going to have a job unless you understand how to use AI. That you're going to have to be schooled in the concept of artificial intelligence and large language models and eventually agentic AI, even to be in the workforce. And it doesn't matter what level of the workforce. So I just wanted to enhance that because I do have the same concern about, taking our jobs. At the same time, I've written for Forbes a couple of stories where I've said, look, AI has to be really thought of as an educational tool and as a priority in education for the purpose of learning the skills of AI to apply it to business. Without that, yeah, you're going to lose a job.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
So, Tim, yes, I am so glad you brought that. And you're absolutely right. In fact, I have just in the last month, I had a student who I was remediating on an exam. And she was using AI tools, as all students do. And faculty are finally starting to kind of see the light. They're kind of coming out of that fear cycle and starting to use it, although it's not fully there yet. But what I found with this student, even though she was using these AI tools to help her study, she was not getting the grades that she wanted. She was in the DC range. And so really teaching these students how to use these tools better, learn prompt engineering to get deeper so that they are able to make connections across multiple courses and cross-pollinate their knowledge is really going to be important. And, I spent a lot of time with this student who had all the tools, they pay for the apps and all the tools. But the question is, are they absorbing it enough for an assessment that they are going to have to pass? On the flip side, faculty need to change and adapt to these tools now being available to students. This earlier talk I was referencing at Cornell, one of the things that I talked about was the Flexner report came out over 100 years ago that established how we educate our healthcare providers today. We hold true and fast to these legacy assumptions that we have. One of them, which really is to our detriment in the evolution of this, is that knowledge is a scarce resource. That is no longer the case.
Right.
The students today have more knowledge in their phone than we did when I read all of Harrison's when I went to school, which no one is doing today. So we have to adapt our teaching styles. And the phrase that I said to Cornell was, we have to change the sage on the stage mentality, which is how we all learned medicine, to the coach by my side, which is what these
Right.
tools are going to help us do. So I could go on, but I know Dan has patiently been waiting with his hand up.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, for me, it's just more of a question. And by the way, before that, you know, like I've been seeing Amir at our VC Arena party at the W, but first time for me to hear him talk this way. So I'm like, oh, now we got to talk business, you know. Anyway, I have a question for all of you because, you know, I'm not like a healthcare expert, but I have a few friends, like a guy who's running radiologist business. But from what you guys are saying, it seemed like, you know, he might be out of job soon. You know, can you like give me a little insight? What do you see some of the jobs that definitely going to be gone? For example, like radiologists or in this, and then what is your advice for them?
Do you want me to take this? So there are 56,000 US we have a deficit of 56,000 US physicians. I was actually director of neuro ICU. Everyone's saying, why are you adding NPs and PAs? And I said, dude, we cannot, mothers are not giving birth to enough people. I don't know if you remember that there was a telephone operator switch job when they used to take this and then switch to operators, and that is gone now because clearly we do it on a digital switch. As far as any profession that has what we call human touch point, defining the human touch point in the sense like nurse, physical therapy, occupational therapy, etc., until the robotics, which is going to be like at least 10 to 15 years away, we are actually we're going to see increased demand. Because a lot of people are left. I mean, there are physicians who did not invest in my company because they said that Save Life AI is going to, you know, basically replace acute stroke physicians. And now they're coming back, and now they realize that we can see 10 times more stroke patients. So there is an iceberg below that no people understand, that we are really not following standards of care, proper follow-up, all of that. And these new, from horizontal to vertical solutions, is going to be where physicians are going to be deeply engaged in a more meaningful way. And we still going to need more and more touch point based providers. It could be NP, PA, physicians, physio, whatever that may be. But we always will need it. I agree with Amir's gloom and doom approach, which is a little further away, 5 to 10 years, just being honest. But in the next immediate return on investment is going to be on the vertical layer. Sorry, go ahead.
What about people that are? Well, what about people that are just all they've been doing and training and just reviewing those X-ray like radiologists? What do you see?
So I fired my marketing team from 5 people to 2 people. I fired my quality management system from 7 people to now 3 people. I'm going to fire more people who are doing audit, AI scribe, all that crap. So that is definitely, you need to upskill. Kinor, sorry, Scott.
I'll just add that real quick. Singapore 2 years ago came up with some legislation. Anyone over 40 is going to be retrained and to get the new skill set. I see what Janae's saying, but for me personally, it's the great shift. How can I shift my current job? When I learned to be a doctor, do I still practice how I was a medical student? Whoever's typing in the background, if you could like mute yourselves because you can hear a typer on the back. Sorry. The other thing is, do we see jobs being lost? Yes. And will we see more jobs being created that being lost? Maybe not, more than likely. There's this awkward phase, and maybe that's where what Amir was saying, that we'll have to have a certain amount of income for certain people, because if not, and if that happens, then what will happen to our society? I don't want to sound like doomsday, but I do see a tax coming, and that tax will be higher corporations that are leveraging AI to a certain point, and it'll be inversely proportional to the amount of people that they fired, so that they can have some money to go back into the force, because for society reason. The next thing I want to highlight is Martech's law. this information is exponential, the technology. Our organizations, everybody listening, is logarithmic, and as a result, there's a gap, and the bigger the gap, the bigger the disruption. And so if you don't want to be disrupted, then you want to be closer to that exponential straight line that's going up, because then you're more likely to disrupt others. Anyway, I know we're getting close on time. I want to show this, but I want to make sure we have any Q&As from you guys. If not, I want to show this graph, and then I really want to hear from all you guys. Yes, I see a hand up. Go ahead. Unmute yourself, sir. Yeah.
That would help. Thank you. I just wanted to add that it's kind of like the wild, wild west right there. Right now, you know, they did say the same things about cell phones and internet, but it's not that AI is going to replace our jobs. AI is going to replace the jobs of those people that don't learn how to use AI to apply it within their businesses. Anytime you have new innovations and new markets are created, new jobs are created, new positions are created. And I think the most important thing is for doctors to create standards and a framework around artificial intelligence before it gets out of hand, before AI starts talking to itself. So Deepu and Tim, you know, you read the Forbes and the Times, healthcare is the most resistance to AI out of all the industries. So, and people still are gonna like the human touch, the human empathy. And if doctors, a fraction of the 30 million doctors running around, actually came together and created a framework around this, I think we'll be immune to the concerns that have been discussed. That's all. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we didn't plan this. This is a great transition, and I really want to hear from all you guys on this picture. And I'm just going to unpack this picture. This I took from a New York Times article that was shared with the team a couple hours before starting it, and then I converted it to an infographic. And here's the take home. We have the patient, and obviously the patient is in the center, and that's why I put it as the sun. Now, the patient is overwhelmed. They're getting social media advice from influencers, and some of these influencers are not doctors, they're not PAs, they're not healthcare professionals, they're influencers, and some of them are pushing a product. So our patient is hearing certain things saying, oh my gosh, I need to try this product, and how do they decide? They're getting overwhelmed. The next portion is there's these AI chatbots, and as we know, they hallucinate. And so however they're being used, that patient again is getting information that they're like, is this right? Is this wrong? But you know what? It's on the internet. It's got to be right, right? And then we have political forces. We have different parts. Do you live in California? Do you live in New York? Do you live in the European Union? And then depending where you live, will influence your a way of using AI and taking that information in, and there'll be some guardrails depending on that country. For example, the laws in Europe compared to the laws of California compared to the laws of West Texas or something, or Texas. It changes. So what is that common thread? How do we trust this information? And this is where our healthcare system comes, because if the physician can be that interpreter, to be that person, male or female, whoever it is, to come in and tell the patient, hey, that influencer is wrong in XYZ. This information that you got from the bot is wrong, and here's why. And then us be the orchestrator, meaning as a healthcare professional, going through and saying, okay, let me re-engineer this chat bot. Let me make sure it's not hallucinating. Let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. And so I really like this picture because at the end of the day, it goes back to the healthcare profession to be the empathy, to be that perspective person, to help with the complex decision, to be that human in the loop. But more importantly, to be that, instead of the other diagram that you see there on the left is black and white, back in the day, I'm going to age myself, it was the doctor as the gatekeeper. It was me writing that prescription saying, I'm your knowledge base and this is how it needs to be done. Now, when I was through in medical school, it was Dr. Google papers, and then it was Consult MD, and now it's ChatGPT. And so I just wanted to plant that to see what you guys think. So, Junaid, Ed, or anybody?
Yeah, Harvey, I think one of the big challenges that you see with this is the doctor has, 15 minutes at a time, maybe with a patient. Patients have a parasocial relationship with a lot of these wellness influencers. They might be hearing from them every day. So I think that's one of the big challenges with this system, right? It's hard to lecture people and tell them like, hey, don't listen to these other people. They feel like these people are closest to me. So I think that's one of the big challenges. And, just how can there be systems that doctors know where they're getting this information and they're able to steer them toward the right information? But there's some of those forces really pushing against you there.
Yeah, and I love what you just said. And to really think it through, it's AI can scale information quick, but the only thing doctors can really scale is that trust. because that trust is so important. And to your point, then I need to know my tools, and that's where I'm really big on teaching people the good, the bad, and the unknown. Because if doctors don't know, and if there's no food label on this particular AI, then they're using that tool, and in some instances, making that AI bias worse because they don't even know that that exists into the algorithm. And so, really good point, my friend. Who else has their hand up? And go ahead and just unmute yourself.
I think he's coming back for some reason. You go first.
Go ahead, Junaid. Or whoever
Oh,
had their. Oh, there you go. There.
go ahead. Okay, I think that was a mistake. And I would like to know your opinion because I very much, by the way, going through this founding process, I keep saying that what Harvey said, the most valuable commodity will be trust. And then making sure that we are able to trust. And I'm going to tell you, Tom, in a minute, how you built trust and governance as part and parcel of your AI strategy. But go ahead, Ed. Harvey, you can unshare the screen or make it a little zoomer if you can.
I'll just make. There we go. All right. Who's next?
Ed, what's your opinion on commoditizing trust? Let's just be honest. At the end of the day, everything is becoming a commodity. So
Yeah, well, I know the two of you know my perspective, and I know it may be a little far-fetched for some, but I think it's going to be concierge AI, and I'm going to gain more and more trust in my agent, and that's the first place I'm going to go for my healthcare. I already do now, and I'm not going to go into those stories. You all know, some of you already know those stories. So but I do agree with the point, Harvey's point. I know I may be an outlier, but that is the one thing that the physician, the human part, the connectedness that you can never displace. So I still see that going on. So I appreciate Harvey's point of view on that, and see how all those different parts and pieces of the ecosystem can interact and change things. But yeah, ultimately, I will come to a specialist for sure. But who knows what'll happen 3 to 5 years? It could evolve so much that even the specialist is somewhat forced to become even more specialized, if you will, without going into the broader context of the history that some of you know. So I hope that answers your question. I just think I'm going to continue to go. I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it right now with stem cells. Some of you already know, and I'm not going to go there with the liver story and what I've done with a couple other things, but that's my go-to now is my AI for all things healthcare.
So Ed is not a physician, and he's, of course, at the forefront of technology as a patient. And he has an amazing book, by the way. So does Harvey, by the way. Harvey's new book is going to come out if anyone's interested in contributing. So here's the thing, Tom, what you suggested is exactly the problem statement. The problem statement is, how do you improve trust in a new technology, correct? I mean, that's fair enough. Just for understanding again, any new technology is a catalyst by definition. A car is 4 wheels that takes you from point A to point B more faster than a horse. Simple. And that's how AI is going to be. Those people who can afford it, who can actually do it, are going to be much faster in getting the car from A to B. There will always be an initial societal level imbalance. What Dan and Amir were saying, that is not unexpected. We see the dot-com bubble, we see the trillion-dollar companies, but everything is also trickling down. We have new jobs, as Ed suggested, and everyone suggested. So understanding technology as a catalyst for change and initial, what we call dystopia before utopia. That is the known fact throughout this. Now, Tom, the biggest issue, and by the way, you're a marketing person, so you understand this, that when you come back and talk to your customer and journeys, because we have talked to like 500 providers now, one of the biggest issues is to understand that they have the right user experience in front end to actually choose. Number 2 is significant, amazing, important of customization, which we had to customize our platforms in the sense that end user can customize their user preferences, because oncology has a completely different way to ophthalmology and ENT. So that is an extremely important built-in moat for any technology company that I suppose Dan and everyone is evaluating, that how do they customize, which I showed, because we can have one front-end modular, but the idea is that you bring customizations. And number three, properly communicate value. And I'm just telling you, in the last year, I heard so much, I learned so much from Ed and all his CIOs and CTOs friends that he, and all of that, that I understood how to communicate value better. At the end of the day, humans are not machines or calculators. They love stories. And it is a freaking amazing thing that as a founder, I have to learn storytelling. So value proposition has to understand at some point in time that you deliver value at the level of a storytelling. And you, by the way, I'm getting investments like right and left now because of that. So again, the main question is, trust depends on value. Value depends on three things: technological mode in terms of customization, technological mode in terms of front-end UI experience so that it's easy, faster, and better, and talking to, making sure that this network is better. Because we as human beings will always trust another human being more, most of the time. Of course, we go fights on it, but always understanding that healthcare progresses, specifically healthcare, is very different than, other SaaS sales that is, you can advertise and somebody's going to subscribe. Healthcare doesn't work like that. Mm-mm. Sorry, Harvey, go ahead. I
That's good.
apologize.
Well, no, and I just want to. I know we're coming to the end. I just want to thank everybody. I know it's crazy. We got holidays. I really appreciate everyone taking their time on a Saturday, because I normally don't ask anyone to do anything on the weekend. So thank you, all you guys, for coming. It means a lot to me. And big picture, our mission is, how can we help people leveraging this technology for a better tomorrow? And I think all of us share that sentiment. With that said, I know there's the bell curve of what could happen, and really nobody knows. But at the end of the day, we know that our heart's in the good place. So with that, I want to make sure, if so there's some pressing issue that somebody wants to say X, Y, I really want to hear from you guys. If not, then I personally want to thank you guys for, it's been an awesome year, and I cannot wait for next year. Next year is going to rock in so many ways, and so many announcements coming. So Ed, Junaid, any other comments?
Yeah, I know for sure Harvey has a big announcement, but I cannot say it. Of course, I have a massive announcement, becoming something big at a title and everything, and of course, more importantly, getting access to massive amount of data, which is the biggest, another big mode, by the way, we didn't talk about. So, Tom, data is a big mode. It's going to get even harder for people to bring in more data. But again, I'm very grateful to find such good friends with similar back end. We are all very spiritual, by the way, and we are very honest. We are in Texas, so we are gun loving as well. So we are very, anti-regulation, just being honest. What I'm saying is that we understand, and Ed always says, sandbox, sandbox, sandbox. So the idea is to push this forward in an ethical way, but keep pushing it forward. So.
Awesome. Ed?
Yeah, I think how blessed we all are. Everyone who's participated, everyone who's watching online, everyone who's going to watch this in the next few days, how blessed we are to be in this position, to have the knowledge that we have, to have this conversation. So I think we all have to take a huge responsibility about what we do with it next. And I know we all have the same heart, and that is to really leverage this technology to enable better healthcare throughout the world. And I just consider it a blessing to be alive and just to know you and be on this podcast together. So thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you.
Yeah, I would love to.
Go ahead, Dan.
Like Ed, since I see that you're in Dallas, would love for you to come by and talk to some of our founders, right? Like Junaid said, most founders that we see, there are a lot of like good founder, technical founder, but they have no idea how to talk business. Everything's coming out of their mouth sound technical to me, and I'm like, stop that, like. In this new age, I don't know if you heard this, but like virality is a product nowadays, meaning that it's the story, right? If you cannot relate your story to anybody, then there's no product for you, or there's no business for you. So I think more founders need to move away from just selling product or technology into telling more better story, how it relates to business. So.
Thank you,
Harvey, do you mind
everyone.
if I
Thanks
just
again.
share?
Yes, please. I'd
Oh,
love to hear
sorry.
Please, sorry.
I share just a quick. I'm not trying to do New Year's resolutions, but I am reflecting on what I think 2026 will bring, and I think one of the headlines that I've kind of given myself as a charge is change happens at the speed of trust. And I really think that that's going to be the next evolution of where we go 2026 and beyond. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and join the conversation.
you.
Extremely
And I'll
grateful
just
for
piggyback
Harvey
a
and
little
Ed
bit on
so
that,
much.
because I always say culture is our rate limiting step with this technology. We can create it, but if the culture is not ready for it, it's not going to happen. It piggybacks on what you said, basically. So thank you so much for coming, everybody, and especially thanks everyone. Thank you.